Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Searching for Happiness podcast. I am your host, Joseph Grable, and today I have with me producer, audio engineer, and my best friend, Salvador Mortillo. How are you doing today, man?
I'm doing good. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited for this dude. Out of it, like, no shade to anyone because I love all my guests, but this is the one I've been waiting for the most, dude.
And I think it's the hardest one to schedule.
Yeah, dude, we've little context. We've scheduled this episode like probably 50 times.
Yeah.
And Salvador is so busy or I'm so busy, and it just never lines up. So I'm really happy to finally do this, bro.
I know. I'm so happy.
We have so much to talk about. I mean, we talk like every day, but like we always have shit to talk about. But
that's true.
Of course, with the podcast, we're gonna focus more on like our health and our mental health, and
of course, yeah.
What life's all about recently. So first and foremost, you recently graduated, my dude.
Yes, I did.
How does that feel?
It feels amazing. I graduated like a month ago, I want to say, roughly.
Yeah, about a month ago.
About a month ago, maybe a little more. But I feel like by the end of my like schooling, with all the other stuff I was doing, I felt like it just felt like something was lifted off my back. I spent like the next like 2 weeks after graduation just like literally not working on any music and like just relaxing because I deserved it.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, and it just felt good. I think I did learn a lot. I am super blessed. But I think I was feeling a little overworked by the end.
I can understand that, man. Films, like you went to music school. You went to the music part of my school, the film school, Los Angeles Film School. You went to Los Angeles Recording School,
Right.
and they're their scheduling is really weird, and the work is pretty rigorous on top of you actually, producing on your own and audio engineering, like in internships and stuff. So I can imagine like the weight off your shoulders got lifted immediately.
Oh, yeah, for
like
sure.
As soon as you got that little like paper, you're like, oh.
Yeah, especially because I had been working kind of like professionally, like on the field, like maybe like almost a year and a half ago, I started like
dude,
actually doing that.
Like majority of people I know.
Thank you.
Every time I hit you up, you're like, yo, I'm in the studio, I can't talk, or like, yo, like I'm with this art. Or like yesterday, like you were calling, you had to keep hanging up.
Yesterday was so stupid.
Dude, it was so funny. Me and Sabrina were laughing so hard. We're like, damn, I can't imagine being that busy, dude.
I know. I was like in between sessions, and I'm like, I want to call Joe because we're celebrating our birthday today.
Yeah.
So, I was on the phone with you, and then like my client was calling me because she was outside, and then someone else was calling me. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, dude, it's good to be busy though. I think it's
cool. There's like a good balance though. I'm starting to learn.
That's good. I know for a while you didn't really have that much balance. I remember.
Oh no,
you were going like not in a bad way, but you were going like kind of on a downward spiral of just like burnout. And like I remember, the months of you having burnout, and it was really hard on you, dude. I remember that.
Yeah, I think the moment of like waking up and being like, okay, I need to like start taking care of myself or start taking care of my mental health was when it affects other people.
Yeah.
And that's when you really realize you're like, oh my god, this has gone beyond me. My own problem has become everyone's problem.
Yeah, I feel it.
Especially when it's something creative like music. I'm in the room with amazing people every day, and like we have that mutual understanding of like, okay, we're gonna try to be in a good mood, and we're gonna try to get this record done, and we have this amazing connection. But if I'm already burnt out and I don't come with the best of moods, it can definitely ruin the session.
Oh yeah.
Ruin relationships, and it's something that I've learned with that experience of like having that and being like, oh my god, like I really need to take care of myself or else I'm not gonna get anything done.
Yeah, no, I understand.
For
Yeah,
sure.
I feel you, man. I remember like through that burnout, like you know, we were always cool. There was times where I didn't think we were, but you were just so busy where I was like, did I like piss Salvador off? But then I would hit you up, be
Yeah.
like, yo, is everything good between us? And you'd be like, dude, like I've been working like 80 hours this week. I'm like, oh, that makes total sense. Like I understand that. So I like,
Yeah.
yeah, dude, like
And it's hard to get like, I don't know. I feel like out here there's this huge culture of like grinding, you know, and I feel
I
like
agree.
I got so caught up with that, you know, especially not, you know, not coming out of like not being from LA. Like as soon as I came here, I thought that was like the normal thing to do, just like
Yeah.
grind the fuck out.
Yeah, and like I mean, to an extent, it kind of is because you have to grind to live here. Like you just have to. Like that's just the territory that comes with living in LA. Like you
Right.
just have to. But I think, you know, ultimately you went through a very human thing. Like you had to, you know, learn the hard way. You know what I mean? Like you had to, you
For
know, see
sure.
what works best for you, what doesn't work best for you, you know, what works best for your friends, what doesn't work best for your friends, you know. I think
Mhm.
you're handling it pretty fucking well, if
I
I might
mean,
add.
now I am.
Yeah, now,
I
but
think
like
now
you would have
I'm
never
like
been able
loving
to
it.
like do what you do now if you didn't go through those, you know, times. You know what I mean?
That's true.
And I remember those times like really hard. We would have conversations all the time too. Just like we'd both be burnt out. You know, you like I'm a filmmaker, so it's a bit different. But like, you know, you're constantly in the studio. You're constantly on the go. You're constantly answering calls. You're constantly answering texts, and like that's a lot to handle on your mental
For
health. You know
sure.
what I mean? To like constantly be available to people like
And
is a
like,
lot.
and for some people, I'm like their work depends on me being there, you know, and that's
Yeah.
kind of like also like the where the pressure comes, you know, because when you're like producing something, like a lot of times you might be the only producer, you know, or you might be the only person that they trust to create that record.
Hmm.
And when you have that, like a multiple amounts of people and that like doing that and like trusting you with that, it
Hmm.
gets a little bit.
I can see why it would get it's a lot, dude. And there's
Yeah.
only 24 hours in one day, you know,
Oh yeah,
and you
for
can only
sure.
do so much because you still have to get sleep, you still have
Yeah.
to eat.
And like learning how to say no is so important. Bro, I was the worst at
I
saying no.
remember
I
we
was the
both were really bad
worst.
at it.
Yeah. Even now, I mean, sometimes I'm still thinking like, oh, should I do
Oh, I'm really good at saying.
it?
I'm really, really good at saying no now. Like
Yeah.
I have no shame in saying no to people now. Like, I mean, you know, like sometimes you hit me up to go out, I'm just like, no. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like I have no shame in it because it's like what LA taught me, and I think you'll relate, is that at the end of the day, even if you're married, even if you're have a significant other, it's you against the world at the end of the day. You know,
Yeah.
you have, you know, like you're saying, like you know, you had, it was affecting your friends, it was affecting your family,
Hmm.
but like really it was affecting you the most.
Of course.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like you were losing sleep. I remember like some days you'd be like, I haven't slept yet. And I'm like, go to bed, bro. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And so like it's really crucial to take care of yourself like that. And
For
I
sure.
think saying no, dude, is like the first step to getting to that process. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I used to feel shamed when I would say no, and I'd feel so bad. But now like that I'm older and like
Uh-huh.
I've had enough people take advantage of me, you know, and I'm sure you feel the same
Hmm.
way, that you're just like, it's okay to say no. Like if someone gets upset with you because you say no, that like that's not your problem,
Yeah,
you
that's true.
know. And I think you told me that actually, like, you know, when you were like in your burnt out stage, you're like, I
Hmm.
think I started telling people no, and it's just like not my problem. Like, you know, like I can only take so much. And like
Right.
after you said that, I was like, damn, I was like, homie, right? Like,
Yeah. It's
like
true. Like I don't know. I used to get so anxious.
I
Like
remember.
like when because I get I was working out of like a couple different
Yeah,
studios,
yeah.
and that's all. I'm like kind of my own boss when it comes to like sessions and all that.
Hmm.
So people would just hit me up 20
Constant.
minutes in advance, an hour in advance
That's
before a
stressful.
session and being like, "Hey, can you do it?" And I'm like with my friends, or I'm like technically free, and I'm trying to figure out should I really do it.
Hmm.
If I say no, am I losing an opportunity, you know? And then I would just get like so anxious, and I would like leave the message and like be like, okay, let's think about this, you know? And
Yeah.
like, but now I'm more like, okay, if I'm even with my friends or I'm doing something different that's not work related, that's also doing something.
Hmm.
So I'm busy, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I think it's really good that you're constantly busy though. I
It's
think
good.
because I'm the opposite. I'm not constantly busy because my career is different than a music producer. You can go into a studio like every day, you know what I mean? As to where like I have to wait constantly for projects, and then I gotta go,
Yeah, it's
like
like more of
sometimes I
like a
gotta
long.
travel really far for them, sometimes I don't, and like me, like I have a lot of free time on my hand. Like you probably work like, I'm guessing like 60 to 80 hours a week on, on top of hanging out with friends and trying to get rest, and at the time in school, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? As to where like I probably work like 30 hours in the film industry a week, and then I have all this free time. And dude, not being busy in LA is stressful. Like it sounds weird, but it's very stressful because it's like, how am I gonna make money if I can't stay busy? You know what I
Right.
mean? And so like that's like where I started getting burnt out to the fact that there wasn't enough opportunity, and so I had to start finding new revenues to make money, like DoorDash, Uber, all this and that, because it's like you have to stay on top of your game out here. Otherwise, you're gonna sink so fast, it's not even funny.
Yeah. One thing I've learned though, it's like also like, this podcast is all about seeking for happiness, right? And it's all like that's something I've been learning too. Like, what is it truly making me happy?
Mm-hmm.
I think for the longest time, even my degree is on like audio engineering, which is something I love. I'm really good at. I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
But my love is honestly in like the music production and like music creation and like even some songwriting. And that's stuff I'm realizing now. And that's so easy. That's why it's so easy for me to say no to like
Mm-hmm.
those types of gigs. Because now I'm like, I really want to focus on what I really love, which
Yeah,
is music production
that's
and it's
great.
creating the music. So I'm going through this thing right now where I'm just kind of transitioning to production mainly.
It's awesome.
And like of course it's harder because I get less work because it's not really like a title
Yeah,
or like a job description being a music
yeah,
producer.
but I think, dude, like for instance, I think that's a very smart choice though, because the more you do that, the more opportunity in that section is going to come to you. I remember
Oh,
like
for
this
sure.
story. I don't know if you know this story, but like Matthew McConaughey, remember when he was like really famous for all those rom-coms?
Uh-huh.
Well, he got like super fed up with it,
Right.
obviously. He didn't work for like 15 months because he just kept saying no,
Mm-hmm.
no, no, no. And like they were millions of dollars, millions and millions of dollars, and he was just not satisfied. Like you're saying, like you love the production side, not particularly what you have a degree in, but you love more the songwriting, the producing of it. And so like he was the same way. It was like, I don't I want to act in dramas. I want to act in action movies. Like I want to act in like
Right.
movies that don't make people, like I guess don't view him in a romantic rom-com guy anymore. He wanted to be taken
Mm-hmm.
seriously, and so that's what he did for like 15 months. He didn't work, you know what I mean? So
Right.
it's smart that you're doing that, because eventually if you hold out long enough, that's all the work you're ever going to get, is what you
Right.
want, you know what I mean?
And people start seeing you differently too. Like, when you're in the studio as an engineer, it's a little bit different than being in the studio as a producer.
Mm-hmm.
Like as an engineer,
How so?
it's like, so the producer is more in control of like the actual music, and like he's basically running the session and like creating the songs.
Okay.
While the engineer is basically getting paid an hour per hour for
Mm.
like just recording or mixing, whatever that might
Mm-hmm.
be. So he's not really involved in that area. And I feel like there's like the culture of like audio engineering here. It's not very like, people don't take it as seriously. I feel like there's been times where I've been in sessions and like people are just bossing you around thinking that it's super easy to do it, and you're getting paid an hour, so you're not as important as the other people that are working on the
Mm-hmm.
project, which is very common. And it's like, I don't like that energy either.
I hate that type of energy.
Yeah, and like it's
Film sets run very similarly to
right,
that.
and
Yeah.
like there's like kind of like, it feels like almost like a hierarchy of like who's on top of each other and like who runs the session, and like
Yeah.
the engineer sometimes feels like you're like the lowest there,
Mm-hmm.
the one with the less like decision making
and
power.
and that's frustrating, bro, because I've been on like film sets, and like, I'll be like a PA or
Mm-hmm.
someone on the lower hierarchy, like you're saying, and like it's a huge difference, dude. Like people will treat you way differently by your
For
title,
sure.
and
Yeah.
it's very, how would I say, it's so common and it's so, how would you say this? It's so common that it's normal here. You know what I mean?
for
Like
sure.
people don't even like acknowledge it when they're doing it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like you go on a film set, people are just yelling and screaming and like calling you mean names sometimes and
Right.
shit like that. And there's nothing you can do about it, especially if you're a nobody. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you just gotta take it.
People don't realize what the work that it took for you to be in that position in the
Yeah.
first
Or
place.
even
You know?
get to that location in general. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like I remember like me and you, we didn't have cars forever. I mean, I don't know if you're still working on your license and stuff, but like
Yeah.
like for me, like I didn't have a car forever, bro. And you still have to deal with this. I'd have to Uber everywhere or take the bus. And like people like don't realize how much effort that takes to get somewhere as
Mm-hmm.
well. And then just to go to work and like be pretty much, I wouldn't say degraded, but like pretty much just told and bossed around like disrespectfully is so stressful. Like like being an audio engineer, I can see like I can obviously see that happening a lot, especially when you're in a room with artists
Yeah.
that you might not even,
And
fuck
just
with.
like kind of like a disclaimer, this is more like audio engineering for like music.
Yeah,
Not-
yeah. Oh yeah,
if it's post, you're fine.
Yeah,
You
for
get-
sure, for sure. Little disclaimer: we're talking about audio, we're talking about music. But yeah, dude, like it's, that's what I love our friendship though too. Is I get the perspective of the music career, and you can have the perspective of a film career.
Right.
Now
Mhm.
we're blending our careers together with my thesis. You know
Right.
what
Yeah,
I mean?
exactly.
So
And like that's kind of the stuff that I'm also passionate about. Like I love audio still, but I'm passionate to like take it to a next level that's not music related, maybe like
Mhm.
film. But yeah, like for the whole like audio engineering aspect of it, I also like at the beginning of the year, I don't know if you remember, but I was also I like I have an engineering job at this one studio, but I also started like a internship at a different one.
Mm.
And it was like a big how to call it, it was a big studio, very well known, cool clients. But it just like seeing like that, like some of the interns or some of the runners or like the assistants like took like years to get to where they are to just be an audio engineer also made me realize I'm like, I don't know if I have that time. I don't know if I want to spend that much time focusing on that when I know my heart belongs to like the actual creation, because I know I'm not going to get that opportunity if I stick to that lane.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel the same way, man. I don't take jobs anymore that I don't particularly have interest in. As to where when we first started, we kind of just take what we want, like what we can get. You know what I mean? Because that's how it is. But then like you're saying, like I see like production assistants that have been production assistants for years.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't.
And just to go up that ladder, because it's so many steps to get up there.
So many, like,
and then and just talking to the people that are already there, it's like, okay, some of them wish they could have been producers, or like that's still one of their passions, and I'm like, I honestly want to focus on that for this next like year.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like a lot of it has to just do with who you know too. Like,
yeah, true.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of people that start at the bottom don't really know anybody. So like you get like some people are just born into it, you know what I mean? And they're already at the top, and that shit's frustrating. But it makes sense because they were born into it. And like I think that really overall it doesn't really matter where you start as long as you have, like I guess the right destination in your heart, like where you want to go with it. You got to let people know as well. And like that's the beauty I think I love about our careers is people ask you as well. I don't know about you, but people ask me all the time. For sure. Like, what do you actually want to do, man? And sometimes that gets you places, sometimes it doesn't. You know what I mean? But you got to learn to take advantage of those as well. And you got to learn to be like comfortable with like asking for help as well. That's my biggest lesson this year is like I got
asking for help.
Asking for help is because like I've been a very like, even with this podcast, I've been a very like one man show, and like a lot of it has to do with like, I don't know, maybe like insecurities and like not to be like sound weird, but like I also kind of like don't want to split the amount of work if it's mainly my idea. You know what I mean? Like I don't want someone else to fully benefit off of my idea that I created, I circulated, I thought of. You know what I mean? Like it'd be great to, like say like have a co-host every now and then, but it's like they would really have to like help me with like majority of the stuff. It's
gotta be really
like,
balanced.
Yeah, I have friends that have co-hosts that like don't do anything at all. You know what I mean? I can't do that. You know what I mean? So like, I feel like, do you ever like run into situations like that as like an audio engineer or even a producer though?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a lot of collaboration
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to producing.
Yeah.
I want to say like at least recently I've been more keen to like bring people into records, and I love doing that just because like for example, I can play a little bit of guitar.
Yeah.
I'm not the best whatsoever.
You're underestimating yourself a little bit, but yes, you can play guitar.
But
You're
but
pretty
like
good, but
but
that's good.
compared to like my network of guitar players I
Well,
do
of
have,
course, dude.
I'm not gonna
You got
I'm
people playing
not
guitar since they were like 6 out here. You know what I mean?
right. So that's what I mean. Like sometimes when it comes to like a big project, there's things that I start to realize that I might not be the best at, so I want to outsource people.
That makes sense.
You know, so for example, a couple new songs that I'm working on, like they're very guitar based. I can produce it. I can like kind of like make the skeleton of it and then bring it to someone and be like, oh shit, sorry. Bring it to someone and be like, I want you to lay this down
Mm-hmm.
like properly.
Yeah.
It's still my idea, still this, but now it's become more of a collaboration.
Yeah.
So I do that a lot, I think, but there's never like competition ever
That's good.
when it comes to that.
I don't think there's really like, I've never been in a competitive situation in my career. Like I've been in like, first come first serve type deals, but
Right.
like I've never been like in a competitive way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, same. I think the only like kind of awkward or like conversations are when it comes to like splitting like percentages of like masters or like publishing for songs, but that's not even that. No one really cares about that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, man. And like, so everyone's different as well.
True.
You know what I mean? You never know who you're gonna meet. You never know who you're gonna run into. You just never know how you're gonna collaborate with that person as well. You know what I mean? Do you think, because you immigrated to this country from Peru,
Mm-hmm.
which congratulations on that. That's already hard enough, let alone a music career. And so like, do you think it kind of gives you an advantage or disadvantage?
I feel like it gives me a little bit of an advantage when it comes to like things I can bring to the table. I feel like just from all the things I've seen and all the places I've been to, like I can kind of bring in a little bit of that to
Mm-hmm.
like the music itself.
Yeah.
A little bit of my culture, something that like maybe another producer might not have,
Mm-hmm.
I think in that end is cool.
Yeah.
I do like think it's easier for me to connect with like Latinx like artists,
Mm-hmm.
that speak Spanish, and like I can speak with them. Like that's super helpful.
Yeah.
You know.
You know a few languages too.
I mean, I wanna say like my Mandarin is so bad right now.
Well, of course, you haven't lived in China in years, but
Yeah.
like it's still pretty impressive, and I think
I can like
it does
understand
give
a
you,
little bit.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely. I can see how it gives you the advantage, too, as well as just knowing all those other languages, like you're saying, like it helps you
Mhm.
communicate with people better. See, like that's where I run into like some people, like I don't know how to, even with Sabrina, like I don't fully
Mhm.
know Portuguese, so like sometimes we have a hard time communicating. You know what I mean? And so like. I think it's very resourceful. And I think you also understand what it means to like live non-luxuriously as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like
Uh-huh.
I meet so many people here that have like never actually lived, I wouldn't say poor, but haven't even really lived middle class in a sense.
Mhm.
A lot of people, at least I meet, are very, wealthy, or people that grew up in SoCal, not saying they're wealthy, but they grew up in like SoCal and they never really like experienced things outside of like United States. Like I haven't even left the
Right.
United States yet. And I haven't been, and I've been noticing these like this last year that not purposely, but I've been getting cockier and like just more kind of stuck up, not purposely, like I'm not trying to, but I feel like it's just the way LA tries to shape you as well, because you have to learn how to say things a certain way to get your point across.
Mhm.
But the hard part is not trying to hurt people's feelings, but you
True.
always hurt people's feelings. So at least someone's feelings get hurt.
Oh,
You know
for
what I
sure.
mean?
Yeah.
And so like that's my thing, and like I feel like you know, that's where you have a step ahead too, is you're also very humble. Like, I mean, that's why like our friendship works so well, is because like, you know, you're very down to earth and you're very chillaxed and you're like, yeah, it is what it is, man. It is
Yeah,
what it is.
that is me. I like my friends tell me I'm like so grounded and like
You are,
I'm
dude.
like
You're very
but
like just chill and like you're like, yeah, it's whatever, man. I'm like, what do you mean? Like,
I just think like whenever I go back to my country, like people do not care about social media. They don't care
Mhm.
about what they're wearing, all this stuff. Like it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And like they're just the happiest people, you know? Of course, we have a lot of problems, politics, poverty, all this stuff, you know, but like the problems are different, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Out here people get worried about looks and about how like how they come across to other people, while over
Mhm.
there like I feel like nobody really cares what kind of
Yeah.
shoes you're wearing.
That's what
You
a
know what
lot
I
of
mean?
like Sabrina says too, is like, and you're both very humble and you're both very like laid back and chill and
Mm-hmm.
easygoing. I think that has a lot to do with it. Is because even I'm guilty of this. Like I constantly worry about like my teeth or like how I look or how I dress, because when you go out in LA, it's like you never know who you're gonna meet. You know what I
Right.
mean? You want to be presentable, and it's to where like I'm excited to go to Brazil because like I've been sucked in this world for like 3 years straight, like zero breaks. You know what I mean? Even when I go back home, I'm still like stuck in that world in Oregon, because it's like, although they don't really care about social media, it's still like a status quo out there. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
someone's always trying to prove something. You know what I mean? And like maybe I shouldn't care as much, but like when I go to Brazil, like I'm excited because like she's like, Joseph, like literally no one gives a shit about like what you wear,
And
how
it's
you look. Like
yeah.
you can like walk down the street and like be, you know, just calm, like yourself, just do your thing. And
Mm-hmm.
like she's like, no one gives a fuck about social media. No one, like it's all about family and like it's
It
all
literally
about
is.
just like actual life work out there. And that's something I have personally haven't, you know, had a hold of in years, like probably 4 or 5 years, because I've been on my own for so long.
Yeah.
And like my family, I love my family, but we're not that close. You know what I mean? As to where like Sabrina's family, they're like, I've never seen a family so close in my life, like in my entire
Yeah.
life. Like they're just like they talk all day, every day. And I'm like,
That's amazing.
whoa. I was like, that's
Yeah.
that's that's cool. Like that's how I want to be with my kids. You know what I mean? Like I
Right.
want my kids to be able to be comfortable doing that myself. And so like my mom and me talk like twice a month. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, my
and
parents talk like I want to say like every week maybe.
yeah, seeing that's good. That's really healthy, dude. And like, you know, I've been trying to get better at that as well, because like someone, I think it was like I don't know if maybe it was like a YouTube short or just a YouTube video or something, but someone like pointed out like, how many times do you see your parents a year? Or how many times do you talk to your parents a year? And it was like the certain number. He's like, okay. He's like, times that by like however old they are, how many years do you think they have left? And he was like, so you're only gonna see your parents like 50 more times. And
That's crazy.
I was like, that's depressing,
That's
dude. Like,
depressing.
so like ever since then, I'm like, okay, like I've made it more of an extra effort. And that's why I'm
Okay.
excited to go to Brazil, is because like I feel like it's gonna humble me in a way. Cause I've
Yeah, for
noticed I've been
sure.
getting kind of more antsy and cocky, and like not purposely. I'm not trying to.
And
It's
that's
just
the interesting part about like, you know, going to different places, seeing what other people do,
mm-hmm.
you know, because I feel like out here people kind of like they all do something, you know, in the industry they do something like in music,
The
TV,
grass
film.
is always greener somewhere else.
But like people over in other countries, you know, they I feel like they have other perspectives in life. Like and there's things that are like are
Yeah,
more important to them, like
100%.
family and
I agree.
all that and it's just very fascinating because it's like, you know, they could be living like, you know, really really humbly, not have too much to eat or like not have too much money, but they might be like happier than
Yeah.
how we are, you know.
That's what I've noticed, bro. That's what I've really noticed is like, especially like these last few months, a lot of people that have less are usually happier. You know what I mean? I really like, not always, you know,
Mm,
not always. Of course, there's always depression and anxiety, but like when you're not like caught up in this world of like social media, and you're not caught up in the world of like fashion and, you know, grinding and this and that, everyone grinds. You know, at the end of the day, everyone grinds because everyone has a job and they got to
mm-hmm.
go to work. But like LA is just like this next level of like, you have to have multiple jobs at the same time, and you have to make it. You just have to make it work. Otherwise, you're gonna sink. You know what I mean? And so like, and when you go to a different country, say like Brazil, like Sabrina's dad can eat, eat enough, have enough for rent. He has like multiple houses that aren't even expensive because the whole world is just so different on that side. You know what I mean? Like it's easier going as to where here, like we're constantly stressed because everything's expensive, or we're constantly stressed because of a certain opportunity we missed out. And I think, I think that's where you kind of get the upper hand as well, is you know how to separate yourself from a loss, as to where like I notice some people can't separate them, including myself. I can't separate myself from a loss. Like I dwell on it forever. As to where you're like, it's cool.
I think just like I tend to, I don't know. One of my mentors told me this. Like, if it's gonna like affect you, or you're gonna keep on thinking in the next 30 minutes, is it really like that important to like ponder that idea? Or like, so I tend to like things don't really bother me too much if things do happen, or like things do not happen, or an opportunity's lost. Sometimes I see it on the good end. Like there's a lot of sessions that I was like supposed to be booked for, and like I didn't get. And they've been with some artists that I like really loved, you know. But just the fact that someone called me for it means a lot.
Yeah.
You know, it means that like maybe I'm in that level of like being that good at what I do, or like, you know,
you're able to appreciate.
Yeah, so I'm able to appreciate those things regardless if I do get like the opportunity or not.
Yeah, you know? And that's something I've been like trying to like really kind of step back, is because like sometimes I'll be like, yo, like I'm just not getting enough or good opportunities or whatnot. But then I think back, I'm like, bro, sometimes you make more than you did in like 2 weeks at a job.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like in those moments, I feel like that's why people get so caught up in LA, is they forget about those things. Everyone gets so lost in their ambition out here that they forget to celebrate the small wins. And
yeah,
like,
it's all about celebrating.
That's what I notice about you, is you always celebrate the small wins. You know what I mean? Whether it's big or small, you always celebrate them, and you always like acknowledge them. And like I like commend that, because I'm not a person that does that.
Thank you.
I'm just like, if it's not big enough, like I play it off like it's nothing.
Well, you know,
even if it is a really big thing.
I was like, there's this crazy trend on TikTok of like people being like, it's like either a producer or a rapper thing. It's like, oh damn, like this guy, like it's a scene of this guy basically being sad about how he doesn't have that many people listening to his music. But then it kind of the video goes back in time for him as a kid, kind of talking to himself and being like, oh, you have people listening to your music. Like you have someone listening.
Yeah, I've seen those, know? Yeah.
And those are like, honestly, it makes me like think a lot, because the other day I was the same way. I was like, I remember 2 years ago, I was so happy to be in the studio like once or twice a month, you know? I was like, and those days would make me the happiest, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm here doing what I love, you know? These days I go almost every day, you know? And I like forget that like I used to not have that privilege. Yeah. You know?
I completely relate, because sometimes, you know, even with this thesis, like I've been getting very overwhelmed with a lot of things, you know. And when you arrived, I was on the phone with the producer being like, yo, like we need to figure out this whole issue right now, because it's driving me crazy and I don't know what to do about it. And, you know, I think it was like 2 days ago, I just like sat back. I was like, dude, you used to sip through a straw on a hospital bed. I was like, and you're complaining that you're having a hard time getting people to text you back on a production you're about to do, like run with like 20 to 30 people, like, and you're the boss. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, you need to take a breather, homie. Like, I was like talking to myself, like, you need to take a breather, like step back and like realize what you're doing.
Right. And like, it's so crazy, like
how grateful you should be for it.
Seeing you and me like just grow, because I've known you for so long.
Dude, we've known each other for over 3 years. Like, you guys don't even know. This dude's like my brother. Like, I will never forget this. One time we were so broke. I texted him and I was like, yo, bro, I got like $4. He had like 5 or 6. We went to the grocery store and bought just like, I think like pasta noodles
we had
and like, I made
heavy
the Alfredo
cream.
sauce from scratch.
I had some like spare chicken in my fridge.
Yeah, yeah. Then we you know
ate good.
we made a meal, bro, and like that was like, you know, that's a memory I'll never forget because like I don't think I've ever had like a friend like that as well. You know what I mean?
Same.
Like,
we were both going kind of through it, and like we
yeah,
were both new to LA, and like, you know, we have like high expectations when you come out here, but then you realize pretty quickly that it's like very expensive. It's like high cost of living, and like while you're studying, you barely have time to like actually work too.
exactly.
You know, so that day, like, it's definitely core memory.
Yeah,
for
dude,
sure.
definitely, dude. That whole like just that
day
whole
was great.
year, bro. That whole year, because we struggled really hard that whole first year. I remember that, like, because we're, you know, you gotta like slowly transition into this shit out here. Like, if you get into it too fast, you're gonna go crash down. So like, I see it all the time. I don't know about you, but I see it all the time. Like, people get in over their heads like way too fast. That's why I'm glad we went through what we went through, because I feel like it prepared us more for, you know, because like our careers are progressing now, and I feel like it prepared us more to like appreciate it, as to where like I see people that just like get big like that, or like they just, you know, they automatically just have like this good job that they just like lucked out and got it, or like nepotism, you know what I mean, like their family was a part of it before. And so like, you know, going through those moments, dude, I think really shaped us. And I think I'm so glad we went through them together though, dude.
Yeah, we used to like fucking get like 7-Eleven pizza.
Oh, dude, dude, I had some like the other day, dude. That shit's so bad. And we used to think it slapped, dude. I remember
we were that hungry. We were like,
yeah, we're like, oh, dude, this is so fucking good.
We would like get like 4 Locos, like if we wanted to get.
I still have a video. Oh my god, we would get like the $11.99 tequila bottles, like the Jose Cuervo. We would like search like all day and like try to find like the cheapest alcohol bottle we could. And then like I remember like we didn't have any chasers, so you just chased a 4 Loko with your tequila. I was like, bro, I was like, oh no, dude. I saw the video of that.
We have a lot of. I think that really humbled us up too, you know, for like, because now, like, you know, you're living in a nice place. I'm in my own spot too.
Exactly.
And we're all both very happy with that. But like, it's so good to just reminisce, you know.
I
like
agree.
Remember that, because we always forget, you know. We forget that like we're so blessed, you know. Like when we always talk about like we thought it was expensive, like a $5 $5 fee to go into like a club.
I know, they'd be like VIP is only 25. We like 25, bro. Like, why the fuck would we pay that, dude? And like now we're like, dude, like that's take my money, bro. Like, you ever see that Futurama meme where it's like, take my money? Yeah, it's literally, dude. I remember that, dude.
Yeah, those
are broke times, man.
But we were happy though. We were so happy.
I would say, honest, I don't know about you, but I was much happier then than I am now.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm happy, of course, but like, there's something about experiences like that like you just can't redo.
Right. It just felt like we were it's like when you first travel somewhere, and like that feeling of like, oh my god, everything is so brand new, you're exploring and you're just happy to just be there. And that was I think us the first year.
100%.
You know, we were like just walking down Hollywood Boulevard, even though it's trashy and like dirty, and like we were like just happy to just
we're just happy to be there. And like I've been driving down Hollywood Boulevard a few times this week, and I was just thinking about that like probably like a week ago. I was like, man, me and Sal used to like walk the street like drunk as fuck.
We used to like walk to the party and then back home, walk back. You know,
you never realize like those are miles, bro. Like we never like realized that.
Those were like some long walks.
I remember we like walked all the way to the Academy or something. What was that? The $5, the $5 like fee place.
It was right next to Academy.
Oh, right next to the Academy. The Florentine, right?
Yeah,
the Florentine.
I think it's closed.
Is it closed?
I think they don't do parties anymore.
Damn.
I don't know, but that was a while back.
But dude, that's like 1.5 miles from here, bro. You know what I mean? And we walked that shit
past the highway.
Yeah, and we watched that shit like drunk, dude.
Yeah, back to my spot.
Yeah,
that was like
even
further.
Yeah, because I'm actually really close to your old spot. I'm
Yeah,
like 2 blocks from your old spot, but it's even further than here. Dude, that we had some good memories in that
just
apartment,
walking.
dude. And walking, dude, the McLovin game, dude.
Oh,
Oh man, that was awful. Joe still has videos of those.
I'll
I
need to see
saw him
them
the other
tonight.
day. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
but yeah, dude. Overall, dude, I'm so happy where we are now, though. Like, like I was
Good.
saying, like I think I was the happiest in that moment, but like the happiness I have now is completely and utterly different. You know what I
It's
mean? Like,
different.
that
Yeah.
was a very happy time for me as a young adult and like
Same.
getting into the world and like
Uh-huh.
figuring my shit out. And now I'm like married and I have a dog and my own place and stuff like that. And like that's a different type of happiness. Like that's like, oh,
Oh, for
like I'm
sure.
growing up now. Like I'm probably a few years away from being a father as well. You know what I mean? Like it's like you notice these things as you grow as well. And like you said, we've grown
Hmm.
so much since then. Your career has just gone. I've
Dude,
noticed.
yours too.
I appreciate it. I've
Yeah.
noticed, bro. Like, I just noticed, like, sometimes you'll go to dinners or, like, like, sometimes you'll tell me, like, oh, I met this celebrity. I'm like, and you just, like, play it off. I'm like, bro, like, that's awesome, bro. Like, that's so cool. And, like, it's like little things like that, man, that, like, make you realize that not only is growth inevitable, but it's also a slow process, dude.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's the biggest, like, thing for me, I
But
realized.
it's both slow and quickly because like
Mm-hmm.
it's been 3 years, since we first moved out here.
Mm-hmm.
But those 3 years went by
Oh,
so quick.
so
And
fast.
3 years are a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Long time. But they went by so quickly. So
Yeah.
I always get excited to see like, okay, where are we gonna be at in like 2 years from now?
Yeah. I
Because
can't even
even though
wait.
it's a slow slope, going up, and like
Mm-hmm.
there's always things happening. There's always like challenges. Like like we always get better at what we
Yeah.
do, and like I'm just excited
I'm
about it.
so excited to see where we are in a few years, even from now, bro. Like
Yeah.
it's gonna be crazy, man.
Yeah, I can't wait to see this in like 5 years.
I know, dude. We're gonna be like, oh man, we look like such babies,
Right.
and
Probably
like
gonna be all tatted up. And
I am, dude. I'm gonna be so like that's why I keep telling
beards.
Sabrina, like when we go to Brazil in a few weeks, I'm like, I'm gonna come back with like hella tattoos.
I love it. Yeah, get them there because they're
Yeah. Oh, dude,
cheap.
they're so cheap, dude. I think like I could get like a whole back piece for like $80.
Oh
You know
no
what I
way.
mean? Like it's really cheap there. So, but dude, overall, like the growth that we're gonna go through the next few years is gonna be great, and I'm
Hmm.
excited to see like the people we meet as well, and like
Yeah.
and I've met a lot of great people through you as well, like some really good friends like Ethan.
Hmm.
I met Shane from the
Hmm.
studio that one night. Fen. Like all these people, and like they're great people, and like that's what I love about you too, is like you never bring me around people I don't fuck with. That's why
Oh
I could trust you so much too, is because like we have very similar taste in people as well.
yeah,
And so
for
like
sure. It's
I
so important out here to be
oh
like aware of who you meet, and
mm-hmm,
like I've kind of gotten kind of like this skill of like knowing exactly like what type of person you are. Like
mm-hmm,
I'm very good at like seeing like if this person is like good or this
mm-hmm.
person is like
Good at reading people.
I'm good at reading people.
Yeah,
Yes. I'm good at reading.
definitely. I'm good at reading people for the most part, except that one dude, you know who.
Oh.
But yeah, but like for the most part, I'm pretty good at reading people, and like most people out here are pretty down to earth, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think what really like gets in the way is really money. I think that's what really like sacrifices a lot of like relationship, is when money gets into
Right.
play.
Or even like if I mean, I've had a lot of relationships where like they've only been one-sided to like, because
Mhm.
they want you for a certain reason.
Yeah,
You
they
know?
only need you till they need you,
Right.
and then they don't talk to you.
Until
That's
they
very
need you
LA.
again.
Yeah. It's very LA, and like a lot of things like that have just, I think, taught us a lot. Like going back to saying no, like, situations like that, you got to learn to like be self-aware and be aware of like the people that are using you versus people that actually want to like genuinely.
Right. And you want to keep those people close. And that's kind of why I want to balance my life more, and I'm
Yeah.
starting to do that because like sometimes I felt like I've got so overworked that the people I do love, like I've been like kind of separating myself from them,
Same.
and it's the worst feeling ever.
It is.
It's the worst because you're doing something
Yeah.
wrong, and like it almost feels like wow, like I'm really fucking it
I
up.
think like I think what I really look for into a person these days too is like if I can like be brutally honest with them as well. Like with you, I can always be brutally honest. Be like,
Right.
I text you sometimes, be like, yo, are we even like cool right now, bro?
Right.
Like even though like
We've
nothing
had our
happened.
moments, you know.
Yeah, we've had our moments. Or even like Sabrina's like, are you like upset or something? Like, and you're always honest with us, and like that's so important. And like that's what I noticed with like the people you bring around me is they're always honest. Even like Bella. Like I upset her that one time, but she was fully blown honest with me. And like I was honest with her. And like, like I respect that heavily, bro. Cause so many people bullshit you out here. And like just to be surrounded by someone that can be honest with you and like just represent their feelings with respect and then represent your feelings with respect and just be like set like every distance like or difference aside and just be like, hey, look, this is happening. I'm not sure if this is okay. It really has taught me that like communication in any relationship is just
so
key.
Important. Yeah.
It's so important, bro.
That's what I tell all my friends that are like slightly shy, or I can tell when there's always something wrong. Cause I like, I have friends that like, they won't tell you, but but you'll feel it.
Oh yeah. 100%.
But I'm always like, just let me know. Like, just tell me, if
just be straight up.
Just be straight up. And like, I think that's super important because then like they start to get even more comfortable with you. And like those friends, like they're like those friends that I have told that to, they're always like, they let me know when they do not want to do something, or like they feel uncomfortable with something, or like they feel like they need to talk about something, and that's really great to have like people, like real people.
Yeah. It's really good, but it also kind of like, I don't know about you, but I started expecting everyone to do it at like a certain point, because like a majority of people are very honest with me, like, and there's not very, very many people that I don't fuck with. Like I genuinely like majority of people, you know what I mean? And like hopefully likewise people feel the same for me.
Right.
So I don't really ever have that conflict, having to deal with that. But you can tell, dude, definitely when like someone is not fucking with you at the moment, or it's very obvious, like, especially if you know how to read body language, you know what I mean? It's very obvious. But I think that's what like people don't realize is like all you have to do is just talk. Like it sucks. Like it does suck. Like it's hard. Like for instance, like with the birthday situation, I didn't want to hit the person up, but I was like, it's necessary. Like I respect this person. I was upset and I was just trying to be a husband, trying to protect my woman. And that's exactly what I said. Like straight up, I was like, like this is my fault. Like, I was rude. That's on me. You know what I mean? And like, I owned up to it. And like, that's what I really pay attention to is a lot of people we talk to like own up to their mistakes and they own up to things. And it's really difficult, but I swear on my life, dude, like it saves so many relationships and friendships. And it's like next time I saw that person, we were all like loving each other, like talking, having
and
fun. And like,
that's so important because then there's no tension. Like there's just like, I mean, if it is someone's fault, then it takes a little bit longer to kind of like gain that trust back, but that trust always comes back. You
can regain it by being an honest person.
Yeah, and just being
still
yourself.
At least trying to make
like
amends.
I've had those type of relationships, recently too, where like I've like kind of screwed up and like
same.
I've like, and now I'm kind of like, okay, I really need to get on top of my stuff because I don't want to lose a friend, and like you don't, especially when it's someone you love, you want to be there. I
agree. And like it's really important to just be on the same page with people. I feel like that's really what ruins like a lot of friendships with other people. Like you ever have like a friend that says something about you and then another friend is like, oh, that's a bit sus, if that makes sense. Like, and it kind of changes their perspective on you. Like that happens to me sometimes. Like the person, the person that I kind of have beef with the most, like he does that. And like people will hit me up. That's why I love honesty from my friends, because some people will be like, yo, this person's saying this. Is this true? Like, and I'll be like, no, that's whack. And honestly, bro. Like
at our age, I feel like that drama is just so unnecessary.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm like, it's just good to be honest now. Like you need to, it's
and
crucial.
if you don't like fuck with someone or you don't like someone's energy, then that's cool too.
It's like, cool. Like you don't have to bash them. You don't have to like.
You don't have to hate. Just if you don't like someone, you don't like someone.
Yeah, and like when people bring up this certain person, like, oh, blah blah blah, I'm like, oh yeah, like I don't really mess with him, but like, he's cool. You know, I wouldn't not recommend it. Like if someone's like, oh, I'm gonna have this person on the
Exactly.
shoot, it's because everyone's opinion is different. Like when I hear like celebrity opinion, like when people are like, oh, this celebrity did this on set, it's like that's one person's opinion, bro. Like you can't just rule out that person based on one person's opinion. Like
Right. You have to like meet them.
you have to meet them and set your own opinion, and it might suck, but it's like you learn the lesson. You know, like okay, I mess with this person or I don't. You know what I mean? And like that's what I've learned too. Is like no matter what anybody says, like I will always put myself in the uncomfortable position first to like work with the person or meet the person, and then I'll learn the lesson or I won't learn the lesson. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
either I work with them again or I don't. And like it's a trial base. And like I feel like that's what a lot of people need to do with friendships and relationships is kind of view it as like one, you need to be honest too. Like if you don't like really fuck with somebody, like you can let them know, but you don't have to be a dick about it.
Yeah.
Be like, hey,
You
like
do not.
like with this person, you know who I'm talking about. I'm like, we don't work well together, dude. Like, and you know that. Like, you know, and I told him, like, you know that, bro. Like, we don't work well together. You know, we don't get along. I was like, I'm never gonna diss you like in front of other people. But if people ask me my opinion of you, I'm just gonna be like, you know, he's just not my type of person I usually hang out with. But
For sure.
he hangs out with a lot of my other friends. You know what I mean? And so like I could never bag on somebody also for working hard, and like, you know, butting heads sometimes happens when you're on set or in a studio. Like butting heads is gonna happen. You know, you gotta like learn to distance yourself from the relationship versus the situation as well. You can't take things personal out here as well.
Yeah, for sure. And like also like when it comes to like work and stuff, like kind of you know, like if there's someone you enjoy working with or you do not enjoy working with, but you just have to work together,
Yeah.
then just kind of like separating that, you know.
Yeah, I agree. And like, you know, especially in the film and music business, sometimes you're gonna be in moments where you do have to work with somebody you don't like, because
Yeah, all the time.
you can't control who gets hired during what. You're just there for
Right.
your position.
Exactly.
Like that's the rules.
Like when I engineer for people, there's of course like clients that I'm like not fond of,
Yeah.
or like I'm not like, you know, they might not be the best clients, you know,
Yeah.
but I still have to be there, and I still have to
understand.
be like my total like 100%
Yeah.
self, you know.
I agree, man. And you know, I just think there's just this new wave, at least I've noticed this like new wave of people where they're really learning to gap professionalism versus personal issues as well. I've noticed a lot, like that's why I really fuck with a lot of people you bring around, and like a lot of people I bring around I fuck with, because they've learned this art. And I think it's an art, learning to work with people that you don't like, because that's a difficult thing to do. You know what I mean? And if you can separate your differences just to get a job done, like that's great. That's awesome. Like that's what you should do. You know, at the end of the day, if you don't fuck with that person, you don't gotta talk to that person, but you need to respect them and act cordially during
Respect their work, you know.
They respect
might
their
be
work.
good at what they
Because
do.
at the end of the day, everyone on set doing whatever job they're doing, they're good at their job. That's why they're there.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you can't just be like, oh, I don't like this person, their work is shit, because you don't like the person. You know what I mean? And that's what I noticed in the film business is like sometimes the person I'm talking about does that. Like just because he doesn't like the person or she doesn't like the person, they automatically rule out their work ethic. And I'm like, just because I don't like the person doesn't mean I don't think they're a great artist.
Is there like a lot of like how to call it, like competition and sets, like
yes and
people
no.
trying to compete for like who's better at something?
Yes and no. I think it's more talk rather than like an actual competition. It's like, oh, like I wouldn't say it's really competition, I guess. I feel like everyone, from my experience I've had, everyone respects each other equally. And sometimes people will like suggest things and then people will get upset. And then they'll that's kind of as bad as it gets. And like sometimes people take recommendations, sometimes people don't. But in competitive sense, not really. At least I haven't experienced, because they don't give you the opportunity to be competitive. You're there to get do your job and get it done. Like you're not there to if you're like the writer of the project, you're not there to tell the not the director. You're not there to tell the producer what to do. You know what I mean? Or like,
oh yeah, I guess it's different.
Yeah, and so it's very different. you know, some positions, like say you're a assistant camera or a first assistant camera, you know, someone could be a better AC than the actual first AC. Like say the
Right.
second AC is better than the actual first AC. And that might be a little tension there, but like at the end of the day, you can't do anything about that.
True.
You know what I mean? Like you can't get somebody fired because you think you're better.
And in my experience, like I guess it's different because like you guys have like set roles. Like
Mm-hmm.
for example, in a studio there might be like 4 different engineers, you know, all doing the same job.
Mm-hmm.
They have different gigs maybe.
Yeah.
Or like in the management companies I work with, like they have like 6, 7 producers, you know, and we're all part of the same team. We all kind of do the same thing,
Yeah.
different levels, you know. So over there's a bit of a competition, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
everyone kind of does the same thing, but at the same time, I feel like I kind of like just learned like, because when I first came into like studio environment as an intern, like 2020, like
Mm.
I had like a big ego of
Mm.
like, oh, I'm really good at what I do,
I
just
feel
because
you.
I was coming out of like school and I had like a bunch of experience prior to school. So coming into the studio, but then I got humbled up so quickly
Oh really?
when you see like everyone being like better than you at what you do. So I like learn to like befriend the people that you work with and like learn, like truly learn from them,
Yeah.
you know?
That's what I always look into. Like even with the thesis coming up, you know, I'm the main thing I'm excited about is I'm not only gonna learn from my actors, I'm gonna learn from my producer who's a really good friend. I'm gonna learn from the DP who's a really good friend, Vladimir. He's one of my best friends as well. You know what I mean?
Shout
So
out
like,
Vlad.
shout out Vlad, shout out. But yeah, like you know, I love the collaboration of both of our careers. You know, there's a
Yeah.
lot of room for collaboration. There's a lot of room to form ideas. Like when you're in a writer's, like when you're sitting down writing something with somebody and it's like 3 or 4 people, it's like 4 brains working at once. You know,
Yeah.
like much like knowledge that is. Like that's so crazy. And I'm sure it's the same thing in the film
Yeah.
business. It's like you have all those brains in one room. And like you're gonna make something great. Even if it's shit, it's gonna be great because
Yeah.
the amount of
At least
brains that we're
quality.
working on it. Yeah. And you learn relationships and you earn relationships and you really learn to not only like new things, not only do you learn new things, but you also get to further yourself in whatever aspect you're currently working in. Like when
Of
I'm a
course.
first assistant director, a director works with the actors and an assistant director works with the crew. So when I'm an assistant director, I'm constantly learning everything from the crew. Like Gaffer, which is like the electrician of a set. I don't know how to light shit, dude. I don't know how to do that shit. But every time I go on set, I learn something new about lighting. You know what I mean? And it's like that's the thing I also realized about progress is it's slow. You know, it takes time, dude. Like your knowledge you gain takes time, dude. I've been in college for like 6 years. I have
Yeah.
like knowledge in like psychology, like all these things, and I wouldn't regret it. All the classes I took before I came to film school because like I gained all that knowledge and it helps me in the situations I'm in sometimes.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like that's why I love film sets. And even when I go to the studio with you, I go to the studio with you sometimes, take photos and videos.
Right.
And I always learn something from people, like whether it's marketing strategies or how to boost your TikTok up, or like that's what Johnny was not Johnny, that's what Fen was telling me, you know what I mean? And he was like, "Oh yeah, you need to do this and this and this and this and this." And I'm like, "Dude, that's like great knowledge to have that." Like,
Yeah, he knows.
yeah,
Knows a
you
lot
know what I
about
mean?
that.
Like,
Yeah.
and so like it's great to learn things from people, and your relationships are so important in this industry, both industries,
sure.
you know what I mean? But you know, nevertheless, bro, this conversation has been great.
Yeah, dude.
I love that, you know. I'm so glad we finally got to do it, dude.
I
Like
know.
I think we literally I've been trying to get you on since season 1, which started in February of 2021.
It's almost a year.
Yeah, it's almost a year, bro. Like, you know what I mean? So like if that's some context. If you made it to the end of this episode, that's the context of how long I've been trying to get this fool in. But you know, he's a busy man, and you know, when he's not busy, I'm usually busy. So, you know,
Or we're
but
partying.
or partying, yeah. But it's like I don't want nobody, you know, like I ain't gonna take you from your party element because you work so hard, you deserve it. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
no,
people
so
deserve.
This is fun though. I love talking to people.
I love talking. I love talking and just like I love getting to know people. Even though I've known you for 3 years, I feel like I learned some new things from
Yeah,
you
dude,
today.
you're like you and Sabrina are like my family.
Exactly.
You know, like
You know what I mean?
we grew up here. I came with like no family.
Yeah, dude. Me and Sabrina already talked about it. You're gonna be like like the godfather of our children. You know what I
Dude,
mean? So like
that'd be such
you're
a-
like family to us.
You guys heard it first.
Yeah, you guys heard it first. If anybody else is, you have all right to call me on shit. But no, like for real, dude, we love you, dude. And you know, you've been a big part of my life and Sabrina's life since she got in the picture, you know. And it's been such a fun journey,
Yeah,
dude. And I'm
appreciate
very
you guys.
excited to
Yeah,
see
thank you
where
for
we go.
having me, bro.
Dude, of course. Thank you for coming, dude. Again, everyone. This is my best friend Salvador, music producer, audio engineer, and of course, amazing human being.
Thank you.
Of course. All right, guys. Thank you so much. See you next week.